But I've got Fentuo Tahiru right here joining us all the way from Ghana. He is a sports editor with Joy FM. All right, let's talk about the updates coming from Ghana. Chris Hughton has been unveiled as the Blackstars manager. How are the fans feeling over there in Ghana?
I think there is a feeling of optimism, obviously, regarding this Chris Hughton appointment, because he's one of those managers that is very, very experienced indeed. And he's got quite the resume coming into this job. Vastly experienced with the Premier League teams, Newcastle, more recently Brighton. His last job was Nottingham Forest. He's been with this team for a full 1 year. So there is a feeling, of course, that he is very familiar with the team. And I think it is all of those factors that giving people a lot of excitement when it comes to Chris Hughton. He's also partly Ghanaian, don't forget that. So that in itself is a massive deal because his father is Ghanaian, whom he just buried a week ago, just 2 days before the Cristiano funeral, was when he buried his own father in the UK and then immediately flew to Ghana for Cristiano's funeral. The press conference was done in Kumasi, which will be the venue of the game against Angola. And he flew there along with his assistant, George Watson, for that unveiling ceremony on Monday, and then immediately flew back to Ghana, to Accra for his first training session yesterday. Today, the team will fly to Kumasi and then continue preparations. They'll train again today, then train tomorrow before the game on Thursday. The press conference was very interesting, Udoka, mostly because of the questions that were asked and the answers that he gave. Because in the past, Ghanaian coaches have gone to press conferences, opening press conferences, and they haven't exactly provided satisfactory answers to some very compelling questions, or they have provided certain answers that have sought in a way to trap them. So I'll give you examples. He was asked, more importantly, about something that has been spoken about in Ghana, which is FA officials' interference in team selection. And he says, which has become a very big deal in this place. He says specifically, I cannot speak to what happened in the past. I can only speak to what's happening now. And now I am in charge and I will make my decisions. I thought that was very compelling and that was very satisfactory, stomping his ground and showing that he's a man that will make his own decision. It's very important to most Ghanaians because there's been a massive suspicion backed by comments from the FA president that there have been some selections to the national team that have not necessarily been the coach's decision. And in those cases, more often than not, there are players that are not exactly in the greatest of form, with better players being left out. So all of those things, people believe, contribute to Ghana's poor performances in the last two tournaments specifically, because the last AFCON, Ghana finished bottom of the group that had Comoros and Gabon, which was very unacceptable. At the World Cup, it was the same story. Ghana crashed out with one victory. Even the AFCON before that in Egypt in 2019, Ghana crashed out in the round of 16. And so there's a view that the best players have to be played. He was also asked about winning an AFCON trophy and whether he believes he will end Ghana's 42-year wait for an AFCON trophy next year in Cote d'Ivoire. And the answer, once again, previous coaches haven't necessarily been very smart in providing the right answer for that, because the previous coach, Mleven Rahivac, said he had a good team to win the tournament. Siki Akono said he wanted to be the coach to win the AFCON. And those are commitments that you cannot make if you're becoming the head coach. And when you make those commitments and it doesn't work out, you can bet your last peso that people will be out to get you. Hughton, on the other hand, says he's here to build a winning team, and he says there is no coach or nobody in the world that can guarantee anything in football.
Right. Now, when a coach has been employed, say, for example, in European football, recently, Patrick Vieira was fired as Crystal Palace manager because it was on a 12-game winless run. Now, if a coach is employed, he is there to achieve results. Yes, Chris Hughton has said one thing, that there's no guarantee for trophies, but the fans are yearning for something. They're not yearning for just good football, right? They want to get a trophy at the end of the day. If Chris Hughton stays for 4 years and there's nothing to write home about, Ghana is not winning anything but playing good football, is that a positive for the Ghana fans? Because I'm sure we know how African fans behave. They will surely come for Chris Hughton's head.
Yeah, you have a point there. And I think, to be fair to the Ghanaian football fans, we've waited far too long. The last time they won at AFCON, I wasn't born.
Wow.
So I have basically been covering the Blackstars, talking about AFCON, only reading about it in history, because I wasn't there the last time we won the AFCON in 1982. So it's been a very long time. But at the same time, while you try and give the coach targets to win, you also have to be realistic, Udoka. And to be realistic in the sense of Ghana is to look at a country that has come off its worst ever AFCON performance in the history of the country. Okay? It's a team that went to the World Cup with the youngest team at the entire tournament out of the 32 countries that were in Qatar. Ghana had the youngest team. So there is also an admission of reality, and the reality is that this is a vastly inexperienced team. In fact, out of the 25 players that is called up, only 3 players have experienced more than one AFCON. Can you believe that? And those 3 players are Thomas Partey and the Ayew brothers. Every other player in that squad has experienced less than 2 AFCONs. So the only other option, of course, being Daniel Amati, but everybody else has played at just one AFCON. So there's a lack of experience there. But at the same time, Chris Hughton pointed out something significant. He says, and it was a response to a question regarding his style, because people have been very concerned about the style of football he would play. I think you watch the Premier League, and you would be the first to admit that Chris Hughton's brand of football isn't exactly expansive. And Ghanaians have this ego about the way they play their football. It's supposed to be pleasing to the eye. Chris Hughton says there can be questions about offensive football or defensive football. What he is here to do, the most important thing to do first, is to win football matches. So he wants a team that is used to winning. And I think that is significant because winning can bring confidence. And the confidence is what can lead to the chemistry that brings eye-pleasing football.
All right.
National team football has never been built on the success of tiki-taka or very expansive football. Cast your mind back. All the teams that have won major trophies at international level, very rarely do you have teams that have gone in there and played a brand of football that is so eye-catching. The only outlier maybe will be Spain in 2010. But when you look at all of the other teams that have won even the World Cup, the Africa Cup of Nations, it's not with a definitive style of football. It's with a winning mentality. And that is, I believe, is what he needs to inculcate in this team first. Because this is a team, quite frankly, that has become very used to losing. Because in the last few years alone, Ghana has lost matches to Japan, to Comoros, to Madagascar. These are all unpacked number of victories, defeats. Because in the past, this could never have been imagined. It's the reality of the team that we have now. So he needs to get them back into winning football matches.
Winning mentality.
And those victories could inspire confidence. The confidence could bring the eye-catching football that we all want. Because it's only when you are confident that you can truly play the way you want.
Definitely.
Only pragmatic football at the national team level really wins trophies. And for now, I think that's what Hughton needs to focus on.
All right, so that's his focus. And we just hope that by Thursday, Ghana can get their first win in the AFCON build-up. And we expect more victories for Chris Hughton and his new Blackstars side. Thank you very much for your time, Fentuo, and we hope that we'll have you more often to give us more analysis of everything happening with Ghanaian football. Thank you very much.
Yes, it was my pleasure.